history is filled with extraordinary rulers whose ambitions shaped not only their own homelands but entire continents. Among them, one figure looms large: Kublai Khan, the grandson of the legendary Genghis Khan. His life was a saga of conquest, empire building, cultural fusion, and personal tragedy. From the windswept steppes of Mongolia to the thriving cities of China, his story bridges civilizations in ways that continue to fascinate historians today. Kublai was not only a conqueror but also a reformer, a dreamer, and at times a flawed man whose achievements and failures remain etched in world history. Number 9. The Black Khan, an heir of the steppes. Kublai Khan was born in 1215, at a time when the Mongol Empire was rapidly expanding under the ruthless genius of his grandfather Genghis Khan. He was the fourth son of Tului, which placed him directly within the bloodline that would shape the empire's destiny. Unlike many of his relatives who clung to the nomadic ways of the steppes, Kublai was drawn toward the sophisticated world of China. As a young man, he governed territories in northern China under his brother Mengke's authority, and immersed himself in Confucian traditions, Chinese political systems, and the complexities of urban administration. These experiences left a deep mark on his leadership style, distinguishing him from many Mongol rulers who saw China merely as a prize to be exploited rather than governed. The turning point came in 1260 when Mengke, the Great Khan, died unexpectedly. Seizing the opportunity, Kublai declared himself the new Great Khan, though his claim was bitterly contested by his younger brother, Arikboke. What followed was a devastating civil war within the Mongol royal family that raged for 4 years. By 1264, Kublai had emerged victorious, but the cost was steep. The unity of the Mongol Empire, once unshakable under Genghis, fractured permanently. While Kublai claimed the title of Great Khan, his power was strongest in the east, particularly in China and Mongolia, while his cousins ruled independently in Persia, Central Asia, and Russia. It was a victory that brought him supreme authority in name, but limited control in reality. Number 8. Ruler of a fragmented empire. As Great Khan, Kublai technically stood at the head of the largest empire the world had ever known. Yet, the empire that stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Black Sea was no longer the tightly woven machine of conquest forged by Genghis Khan. Instead, it had splintered into semi-independent khanates. The Golden Horde in Russia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Ilkhanate in Persia recognized Kublai's supremacy only in name, but in practice they operated as sovereign states. Despite this political fragmentation, the realm Kublai directly controlled was staggering in scale. His territory spanned from Siberia to the Himalayas and from the Pacific coast deep into Central Asia. Even without full authority over the Western Mongol domains, his power was unmatched, and his vision for the future of his empire diverged dramatically from that of his predecessors. Where Genghis and his sons had seen themselves primarily as nomadic conquerors, Kublai increasingly viewed himself as an emperor who ruled through governance, infrastructure, and integration. Number 7. Founding the Yuan Dynasty. In 1271, Kublai Khan made one of the most important decisions of his life when he formally established the Yuan Dynasty. By adopting the name and style of a traditional Chinese dynasty, he positioned himself not just as a Mongol conqueror, but as the legitimate emperor of China. This move was both symbolic and practical. It appealed to the millions of Chinese subjects who were accustomed to dynastic rule and who might otherwise have resisted Mongol overlordship. Kublai shifted his capital to what is now Beijing, transforming it into a thriving imperial city. By 1279, his armies completed the conquest of the Southern Song dynasty, bringing all of China under his rule for the first time in history. With this victory, Kublai became the first non-Han ruler to govern the entirety of China, a monumental achievement that cemented his place in world history. His Yuan dynasty not only dominated China, but also extended its influence over Korea, Mongolia, and parts of Vietnam. Number 6. Marco Polo and the Window to the East. Kublai Khan's fame in the West owes much to the accounts of Marco Polo, the Venetian merchant and explorer. Traveling along the Silk Road, Marco Polo arrived in China during Kublai's reign and spent nearly 2 decades in the East. He served in the emperor's court, observing the vast wealth, advanced administration, and multicultural life of the Yuan capital. When Polo returned to Europe, he dictated his experiences in a book that astonished his contemporaries. For Europeans, his descriptions of China's bustling cities, efficient postal systems, immense wealth, and Kublai's sophisticated court seemed almost like tales of fantasy. Through Marco Polo, Kublai Khan became a legendary figure in the Western imagination, a symbol of the mysterious East and its boundless wonders. Number 5. The first to use paper money. One of Kublai Khan's greatest innovations lay in economics. While paper money had existed in earlier dynasties, it was under Kublai's Yuan government that it became the primary currency of the empire. In 1273, he issued official notes called Chao, which were backed by the state and circulated widely across his lands. This system was revolutionary, replacing cumbersome metal coins with lightweight paper currency and facilitating trade across vast distances. European travelers, including Marco Polo, marveled at this system, describing it as almost magical. For the first time in history, an empire relied predominantly on paper money as its medium of exchange. This innovation stimulated international trade and solidified China's role as a central hub in the global economy of the 13th century. Number 4. A canal fit for an empire. Infrastructure was another area where Kublai Khan left a lasting impact. To ensure that his northern capital of Beijing could be supplied with grain and goods from the fertile south, he ordered the extension of the Grand Canal in the 1380s. This project was unprecedented in scale, cutting through difficult terrain that earlier dynasties had avoided. The result was a direct link between the Yangtze River Basin and Beijing, secured by the labor of millions of workers. The expanded canal not only guaranteed food supplies for the capital, but also opened up new avenues of trade and transport within the empire. The prosperity it generated helped solidify Kublai's rule, and the canal remains one of the most impressive engineering achievements of medieval China. Number 3. Science, technology, and cultural flourishing. The Yuan dynasty under Kublai Khan was also a period of intellectual and technological flourishing. Advances in navigation allowed merchants and sailors to venture further with greater safety, aided by improved magnetic compasses. The art of porcelain making reached new heights, with the creation of the iconic blue and white Jingdezhen ceramics that would later become highly prized around the world. In the realm of warfare, the Yuan military made use of gunpowder in ways never before seen. Exploding grenades, bomb-filled shells, and primitive firearms were all developed during this era, forever altering the nature of combat. Scholars working in Kublai's empire also refined the calendar to new levels of accuracy, while mathematicians may have been the first to record the use of decimal numbers. What made these achievements possible was the multicultural character of the empire. Arab physicians, Persian astronomers, and Chinese artisans all contributed to the Yuan court, creating a vibrant exchange of knowledge that bridged continents. Number 2. Military ambitions and failures. Despite his immense success within China, Kublai Khan's military ambitions beyond his borders often ended in failure. His attempts to invade Japan remain among the most famous episodes of his reign. Twice he dispatched massive fleets, and twice his forces were destroyed by storms. The Japanese later called these typhoons kamikaze, or divine winds, and they became a symbol of the nation's spiritual protection against foreign conquest. Campaigns in Vietnam, Burma, and Java fared little better, draining the empire's treasury and exhausting its soldiers. These setbacks tarnished the aura of Mongol invincibility and revealed the limits of Kublai's reach. While his grandfather had conquered with unstoppable momentum, Kublai discovered that geography, climate, and local resistance could defy even the most powerful empire. Number 1. Gout, grief, and excess. Though Kublai Khan had once been a formidable warrior, his final years were marked by decline. After the death of his beloved wife Chabi, he fell into deep sorrow. Seeking solace, he turned to food and alcohol, indulging heavily in a diet of meat and rich delicacies. His health deteriorated and he became obese, plagued by severe gout that left him crippled. He also faced the disappointment of repeated military failures and the growing difficulties of managing such a vast empire. By the early 1290s, Kublai had withdrawn from active governance, leaving much of the administration to his advisors. On February 18, 1294, he died at the age of 79. With his death, the Yuan dynasty began its long decline, though it would continue to rule China until the rise of the Ming dynasty in 1368.